MovieWeb.com.
First, I want to ask, is it true that women are still not allowed to compete in the Olympics as far as skiing goes in Norway? Or did they change that?
They are allowed to compete in ski jumping, but meanwhile we was shooting the film. The young mother of Odd Horton, the ski jumper you see in the film, she's actually a world champion for real. And it was a huge argument about if they was now allowed to the ski flying. And they wasn't, and because they was not prepared, and of course there are men who make those decisions, so it was a huge argument. But now I think they try to at least do something about the rules, but it's still it's a men's sport.
But your mother in real life competed in this sport, from what I understand. Is that right?
No, she didn't compete. I mean, this is when they started to compete. I don't know. It's in the recent days. So what she told me was that she opened a couple of competitions for men. This is a long time ago. I mean, she's dead now.
Oh, so she would go out and just do the. Did she do the jump that we see Horton doing at the end of the film, or other?
Not that big jump, I think. But when I grew up, there was ski jumps all over my city, and most of the boys didn't do it as a organized sport. It was just something that we did for fun, and there was quite good ski jumps. And usually there was this combination of playing soccer in the summertime and do the ski jump in the wintertime. That's my childhood.
Well, how did you tie that into what we see Horton going through in this adventure? Because he sort of goes through some stuff you wouldn't expect to see him go through in his life.
Yeah, it was a strange, different way for me to work with the script this time. Usually, when I write stories, it's a very focused idea, and I start in a way in a center and work my way out to the 90 minutes. And this one is more pieced together, and somewhere, it's hard to say now, but somewhere there was this ski jumping, which I wanted to tell something about and let represent something. So what do you call it? I had it in my bank in a way. And along the road, in the process of writing, I found it and made it kind of meaningful in the film.
And the pacing in this film is really beautiful and sort of languid as we watch it, just kind of flowing. I'm wondering, do you think that comes out of Oslo and Norway, that sort of feeling, or is that sort of more your artistic take on the story that you wrote out?
Yeah, I think all kind of stories need their own pace, and I mean, if you're making an action film, of course, it needs another pace and to be edited in another way. But my stories about old people need this kind of pace, I think. So it's that's how I plan it and try to find a pace which fits the way I want to tell the story and the story itself, the characters itself.
So this morning I was compelled to get out and drive blind just to see what it was like, just down my street, nothing crazy. And I want to know, and I had to open my eyes immediately. I'm wondering where this idea came from. Is this something you've done as an activity in your life, or somebody you know?
Well, no, but I mean, I've done it on a bicycle for a few seconds, and I think most of us have done that. Maybe won't admit it. But the story about the blindfold driver is actually based on a true story I heard. There was in 50s, 60s, there was this kind of magicians or clairvoyant people coming to the small cities. And I think not only in Norway, but throughout Europe. And they did some kind of stunts. And this one was a guy that should drive from one place in my city to another place. And usually there was an official person verifying that he couldn't see sitting next to him. It could be a police officer or even a director of the post office or something. And it happened in my hometown. And the guy drove across a couple of junctions, and it went very nice. it was less traffic, of course, by that time. But then suddenly the car just stopped, and they couldn't really understand what's happening, and he was just sitting there. And after a while they had to check it out, and the guy was stone dead. And that was the end of his career.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Now, how much is this? Is this at all autobiographical, or is this all just completely a fantasy that you created for Odd?
No, I think all stories you write in one kind of sense, it's based on experiences. It could be, of course, stories you heard or dreams, whatever. But I mean, it's and some of it has really happened also. But it's a whole mixture of. Life always beats the stories, I would say. It's life itself is larger than you can ever put together a story anyway. But it's inspired by life, at least.
Well, from what I understand, Kata, if I'm saying that right, is a national treasure there in Norway as far as the musician scene goes. I'm wondering, how did you get him to come in and do all of this original music for the film? And how did you think that it would help push the story you were telling?
There are not too much dialogue in my films, and in this kind of films at least. And so all elements is very important, and I have to be careful with these elements. And like music, it's very easy to overkill. And he's quite young, but he still has done like 14 films. And I like his way of composing and his way of getting into the story with his music. So I sent him the script, and so that's also something he really wanted to get into a project early at the script level. So he read it and knew very well my other films. So that was the beginning of our cooperation. And we are now doing another film together also. I'm very, very happy about him. And he's really a musician. He can do anything from leading a huge symphony orchestra to stay alone on the stage. And so he's always surprising me when he's doing things and have different kind of instruments. And so it's really nice to work with him. It's very funny.